how to make these wavy cuffs using a fishing line. You'll need a medium weight knit fabric like jersey. Cut out a circle in the size you want your cuff to be. Then mark a line 2 cm from the raw edge. This will help later because we're going to fold 1 cm while we sew on the sewing machine. I'm using a 0.7 mm fishing line. You can use anything between 0.6 and 0.8. Thicker than 0.8 is usually too stiff, and thinner than 0.6 might not keep the shape as well. Place the fishing line along the edge of the fabric like this and fold the fabric over the line. I like to pin just at the beginning, but I don't pin all the way around. This is only to help you start sewing on the sewing machine. And do not cut the line. I like to use a zipper foot for this step because it helps me sew very close to the fishing line and create a secure little tunnel for the line, if you can say it like that. I am also moving my needle closer to the line so I can keep the stitching as close as possible. When you start sewing the tunnel, you'll probably notice some waves or little wrinkles when you fold the fabric over the line, and that's completely normal because we're working in a circle, and I'll show you how I make them disappear. So you just have to fold the fabric over the fishing line like this and stretch both layers of fabric, not just the top one, but both layers. Fold again like this, stretch, and remember to stretch both layers, and sew again. Make sure to sew as close to the line as you can. And remember to help your sewing machine by pulling the fabric behind the presser foot as well. Do not sew all the way around, but leave a little opening about 2 centimeters where the ends of the fishing line meet. At this point you can trim the edges close to the stitching, but be careful not to cut through your stitches that you just made. And remember, don't trim anything at that little opening. It should end up looking like this. As you can see, the fabric at the opening is still there, while the rest has been trimmed away. Switch back to your usual sewing foot because now we're going to make a rolled seam. And at this point, you should practice on a scrap fabric first to find the best zigzag settings for your sewing machine. You'll need to find a zigzag width and length that will cover the tunnel completely, and when you find the best setting, you can start sewing the rolled hem on your actual fabric. You need to start where the fishing line is already cut. This is very important. And I like to start just a little lower than the opening, but you can do whatever feels easiest for you. Make a few stitches and then stretch the fabric, just like when you sew an elastic waistband. So stretch the fabric and sew. The more you stretch, the bigger the waves will be, and I'm actually stretching quite a lot here. As you sew and stretch the fabric, you are actually using more fishing line because the fabric has to stretch around it. And this is why we didn't cut the fishing line earlier. Stop sewing when you have about 5 centimeters left. Now you can cut the fishing line, but don't cut too short. it has to be long enough to overlap the other end. And if the ends are too long, you can always trim them. Then slide each end into the opposite tunnel. Not the same tunnel it comes out of, but the opposite tunnel. And this one that comes out of this tunnel has to go to the opposite tunnel, like this. It's really important that both ends go inside the tunnels, otherwise the line will slide out when you wear or wash the garment. Now do the same thing all the way around, stretch the fabric and sew until you come back to where you started. You'll still have a little bit of fabric left. Just trim that away, but be very, very careful here. Don't cut into your rolled hem stitches. This is how it ends up looking. I am of course using contrasting colors here so that you can see the stitching. And I want to give you one last tip on how to sew it to your sleeve. The tip is to hand baste it twice. So the first row is about 0.5 centimeters from the raw edge, and the second one is about 2 to 3 centimeters from the edge. The second basting really helps keep the fabric flat so it doesn't get caught under the presser foot while you sew the cuff to the sleeve. Now you can unpick the basting and your flower cuff is done.